Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it too loud? Am I too quiet? Is it muffled?
No, you sound like a good one.
Oh, like a good one. That's good.
Like there's people on already. So.
Oh, good. Okay, so it should be recording.
That's my computer.
Keep doing the video.
I'm wondering, I can't even see how many we have on right now. Oh, we got 37 participants.
I don't know if she realized her mic's on.
Turn it down.
Nothing.
So once you come on to the video conference, if you could mute yourself, you should be able to do it up here. So mine is up here on the bar. I have a little taskbar here, so you should be able to mute yourself. So if I was to do that, now I'm back. Yeah, so once you get on, because otherwise we'll have so much background noise and we won't be, it's going to get very confusing.
Family bonds of living side by side, maybe even cooperating. And they may not be the lone wolves we always thought they were. One thing is sure, there is more to discover here. And the team
Sorry, I can hear someone with a TV in the background.
of Jaws.
The following program contains dramatic reenactments and materials that may be disturbing to some audience members. Is advised.
So, thank you so much for joining. A few people not muted. Yes, unfortunately, I know, sorry. Thank you so much for joining. Whenever you get onto the webinar, please make sure you mute yourself. You should be able to do it on your taskbar. So mine is up here. I think as a participant, you should be able to see it down here. But yeah, just click the mute button as I'm doing it right now. And then you should not be hearing anything anymore, at least from my end or from anybody else's. So thank you so much for joining. This is a first for us, so we've never actually done a webinar before. So really hope that this is going to be beneficial to you. What we are going to do today is, because we had such an overwhelming feedback, we actually had over 113 registrants. So I'm not sure if everybody is going to be joining today, but because we had so much positive feedback, what we wanted to do is walk you through the online application first. And once we are done, we have about 15 to 20 minutes allocated to ask questions. Now, even if you do not have the chance to ask your question, please just feel free to send me an email. What I'll put together is an FAQ document. So I'll put all the questions together and then we'll send it out and we'll post it on the website. We're also going to record this, this webinar. So it will be accessible. I just want to give you a heads up, you know, if, I don't know, you're a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, most of you are going to be muted. If there's a concern, but we're going to record it, then we're going to post it on the website, and it will be accessible to everybody who would like to see it.
Make that stop.
So thank you so much. Before we start, I thought I'd show you how to get to the website. So when you in your 4-H Alberta website, you just go on to the foundation, and from the foundation you'll get to scholarships. Now it's a little bit of a rabbit hole that you fall into, From there on, you go to 4-H Alberta scholarships. Now, those are the ones that we're going to review today. And you go here, click here to go to the application. So once you get there, you go to the same screen as I have up here. That's a test site. So that's the one that we are using right now. And excuse me, once you get on there, you see the landing page. So on the very beginning here, you'll have when the application deadline would be, how to get a hold of us, that, you know, if you have concerns or questions, always to contact me. As you scroll down, and because it's a very long page, you may not see it immediately. As you scroll down, there are recommendations in terms of before you start your application. So if you're a first-time applicant, this may take you a few hours. So what I would recommend is, you know, go in, start your application, and then once you say, you know what, I'm done for today, I'll just save it, and then you can come back. Be aware that certain regions, not all the regions, but certain regions are going to have essays they're looking for or references. And now that I see the South region, actually further down, I totally forgot to introduce my co-host, Ginny Smith. I'm so sorry, Ginny. That totally got away on me. So Ginny is with us. She has been helping me a lot. She's amazing. She'll jump in from time to time if I'm going to, you know, either if there's something that I'm missing on the website or if there's information that she would like to share. She is great in terms of diary points, and she has helped me a lot with this process. So Ginny is here, and she will help us tonight. So as you go through here, like I said, you see essays, like those are the written requirements, and you see reference letters. This information is shared throughout the application. So this is not the first and only time you'll see it, but it's just important information to have, and we don't want you to miss it. So you go further up. If you don't have an account, you can go here and you can register. That will bring you to this page here. I'm going to work off an account that has already previously been created. So I'm a recurrent applicant. I'm coming back. I'm clicking in. And the first thing I will see is the introduction page. Again, it has quick facts. It kind of repeats the information you've seen on the main page. It's repeating the information on the main page with the written requirements. There's still someone on unmuted. If you wouldn't mind just making sure you're muted so we don't have the background noise. So the written requirements for the Calgary region, for example, there is one scholarship that requires a 300-word essay. The Northwest region, you need reference letters. For example, the Calgary region, they're outlined as in you need one school reference, one community, and one 4-H. East Central, so it goes all the way down again until the little tidbit of information of, okay, what's the deadline? Make sure you don't miss it. If you need anything, just contact us. So this is the just pretty much the introduction. You have important links on this page here. So it will show you how to use the site, what do you need. So it's a document that you can actually look at, and it will tell you, okay, so in terms of, sorry, it's going to load up the personal information, your study information. Make sure if you type in a program, it's as outlined in the post-secondary registration, so there's no confusion. Your most recent GPA. So those are the what you need, that's the what you need document. How to contact 4-H Alberta. Again, it's just my contact information. And then here are criteria. Oftentimes I get questions about those. People want to know about who are, you know, how do I know if I'm actually eligible to apply? And I say, well, you know, you can go on to the 4-H Alberta scholarship criteria. Those are the provincial ones. So automatically, once you apply once, you'll be eligible for any of those if you qualify. And for the provincial ones, even if you receive a provincial scholarship, it doesn't mean that you cannot receive another one. those additional scholarships, they are actually regional and district scholarships. You can also receive one of those. So it will show you the name of the scholarship, where it can be used, year of study, program, and then here are the detailed criteria that I normally get back from the donors and sponsors. And so I just enter it all in, and then you can go in and you can review it. That's just the main introduction page. Every time, and it's not on this page yet, but every time you go through the page, you complete the information that you have to add, and you go down and you save. So here's the trick about saving. So you have, sometimes you have a long page, or sometimes you have a written requirement, and you may have several. So make sure you enter it in and then you hit save. Nothing gets lost, and it will automatically refresh the bar up here. So you have 40 minutes. Once you save it, it goes back to 40 minutes. On the personal information, you fill out your, we call it Jane Doe. You fill out your first, last name, your address. It should, if you're returning applicant, it should have carried over from previous data. So you don't have to redo this, although some things have changed on the website. You just continue on as you have it here. You go through, you click which region you're in, how many years have your completed membership in ProAge Alberta. You go all the way down, you complete the information, you hit save. It will show you values have been successfully saved. Once you're through, so we don't have to complete it because it's already there. Once you're through, you move on to the next page. Now we're going to the study information, and what you will enter is your high school. Are you currently attending post-secondary? No, because you're just finishing high school this year.
We've already done this.
Yes, if you are actually in a post-secondary and you're entering your third or your fourth year, then you have to complete how many years? So you have just completed your first year, so you're going into the second. So how many secondary years of post-secondary have you completed? You say 1, because I'm going into my second. And what is your most recent GPA? You enter it. Now this little part here is new. It is asking if you have previously attended a post-secondary institution. Because sometimes we have students that are done and then they come back. It's just information that we need to know. If you are a returning applicant and you have previously completed a program, just click yes. And then you can give us the information. So which institution and how many years. So planning to attend, if you have not been attending yet, if you're planning to attend, you enter in your information. And then briefly, and that's new, so we have changed it. You had a program description, and then you had your future career plans. Now you're only going to do the future career plans, because sometimes sponsors, not sometimes, but oftentimes sponsors and donors, they'd like to know a little bit about the applicant and the recipient. So they will ask me, so who is this person? What are they doing? You know, where are they going to? So if you enter in a little bit of information here, this is the information that I can then forward with a poster to our sponsors and donors. They really appreciate it. Again, once you are through the page and you've entered everything in and you're comfortable, you hit save. And well, because I actually didn't unclick here, so it's prompting me to complete the information. I'm just going to say this one here. Olds College, 3 years, and I'll go on, save it. And then I move on to the next page. So here is the first time that you may see a box. I'm not going to click it because I want to show you what happens when you don't click a box. So I'm just going to leave it blank. But in general, please read it, click it. It's kind of just as an FYI. and then move on, on the additional available scholarships. So as I said earlier, there are provincial scholarships that are administered by me and the 4-H Foundation. And the additional scholarships are administered by the respective regions and or districts. So depending on the region you fall in, so I've clicked the Northwest region because they have a lot of things they require. There are written requirements, some have references. It will prompt the written requirements section to come up with those specific questions. So you go through, you decide, okay, I'm here with the Northwest region. That's my region, that's where I belong to. I will go through. You see all the things that are required. It will continue on one of the next pages, but that's all you need to know for right now. So you click your region, you see again the scholarship criteria, just as an FYI. Save your progress. And then you go on. Unfortunately, it will always put you back up to the top page. It's just a thing it does. And then we're going to the membership info. Now this one, for those of you who are seasoned veterans, that has changed. It's now a little bit simpler. So in the past, you had to enter in what your club name was, most recent, or the years that you were involved in. So from 2002 till 2007. Then you had to give, I think you also had to give your club leaders. So all we want you to enter, and Ginny, feel free to chime in if I'm missing something, but all we want you to enter is your club name, the most recent year, and the total years you've been involved. And just note that a club year runs from October 1st year to September 30th this year. So when we refer to the most recent year involved, 2017, we mean from October 1st, 2016 to September 30th, 2017. You can add as many, I think there's a maximum of 10. I'm not going to try it entirely, but I'm pretty sure there's a maximum of 10 club memberships that you can enter. And all you would do is you add, and you go, I am with the, let's call it the 4-H, we have Happy Horse, 4-H Sheep Club. I've done my most recent year as in a full year. It would have been 2017. Actually, let's do 2014. And it would have been 3 years. They may be overlapping. They may not be, but you can save it. Value saved, and then you can move on. This information here will, in a later, on the later questionnaire, will trigger things that you have to enter. So for example, the offices that you've held. It will then, just based on the information, pull up the offices.
Bianca, this is Ginny.
Hi, Ginny.
And everybody, just a reminder, it's okay to save as often as you want. Do not always count on it saving automatically. It's like any other document. Saving is your friend. So save often. You don't even have to change the page. You could just save it halfway through and add some more stuff to it, and then save it again before you move on.
Thank you, Ginny. Okay, so as I've saved here, I will move on to the next page. And now it will bring me to the projects. Again, for those of you who have done this a few times, you'll notice it will look different. In the past, you had to manually enter your projects. Now what we have done is we have kind of broken it down. So you have a drop-down menu. You have small animals, life skills. We have the kind of big animals, and then we have other. In life skills, you can include anything that's not a livestock. So it's active living, it's if you're in mechanics, it's anything that falls into those would be a life skill. Small animal is anything other than sheep, beef, horse, and dairy. So it could be, I don't know, I think pheasants, right, Ginny? That would be considered a small animal. If you have anything else, I think dog, cat, those would be considered small animals. In other, which is kind of vague, but it includes things like agriculture and environment, but it doesn't include beef, sheep, horse, and dairy. So we're very specific there. The only ones that are flexible are small animals, life skills, and other.
And actually, pheasants are under other because they do fall under agriculture and environment.
Okay, so and I had a hard time hearing Ginny, but Ginny said pheasants, as I mentioned pheasants, they're actually captured under other.
And one more thing, Bianca, because I've been kind of looking at the chat segment as we go through here.
Yeah.
And basically remember that you are filling out your application in regards to those years that you completed. So in actuality, you have not completed the 2017-18 club year as yet, and you won't have by the time you do your application. It just so happens that the creator of our website was a little bit confused on that, but please do it based on the years completed in 4-H.
So, and thank you so much for, by the way, sending me your questions, because what I can do is at the end of the meeting, I can go through them and actually I can answer them as we go after the meeting. So while I walk through, just make sure you tell me in your message where you had your question. And so, for example, I see right now, where do you qualify photography? So I would consider that a life skill. And another one would be a swine. I would put into, well, I guess it wouldn't be a small animal, Ginny, but that's where I would probably add it into.
No, the swine would go under agriculture and environment, so it's other.
Okay.
If people have questions, actually on the 4-H website, if you pull up projects, it will list all of them under the appropriate title. So you could also double check there.
And that's why I'm doing this with you, Ginny. Thank you. So, so that's in terms of projects. So also because the question came up, do you automatically save? I honestly would hit save every single time because I'm paranoid that way. I think I would be very uncomfortable wondering if my stuff gets lost. So I just hit save every single time. So you put in your most recent year involved. You have the total years that you've been involved. You can add club memberships. And once you're done, you hit save. And you go to the next page. Also, in general, if somebody has applied before, most of the information should be carried over from previous years. Now, if for some reason, and I've had it happen before, the information did not carry over, or you say, you know what, my entire profile is empty, send me an email and I'll talk to the website administrator. So there are smart people who actually do this for a living, not me, who do website things and magic. They can look into it and they can figure out if there's a bug in the system or what has happened.
Some of the stuff will need to be re-entered though.
Some of the stuff will be, yes, but your general contact information should still be there. So offices held, I had said earlier, if you enter in your clubs, you have, eventually it will pop up at a later point. Now this point has happened. Now you have offices held. So offices held is anything that you have done within your club. You could have been a president, a historian. We have pre-populated it. I didn't add anything for the happy horse, but you can add something that you have done here. You select it from a drop down, and you can say, I've been a secretary for 3 years in said club. And you can add up to, I think, 10 into those categories. And just make sure that you're diligent and that you enter all the information. You don't have to tell us anymore how many club members your club had. That was a thing of the past, but at this point it matters that you've held a position, what the position was, and how many years completed in good standing. I was told that's very important. Jenny actually told me that. Completed in good standing. So once you're through this page, you save it. It will fully back up. Pop over to the next page, which now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, and that's where I'll probably will more and more refer to public speak to Ginny. In the past, again, you had to enter those in different ways. Now what we want you to do is just public speaking based on those different levels that you were involved. Just tell us how many years in total. The same goes for demonstrations and presentations. So you were on the club level, you were 5, district, times, I don't think that makes sense. 4 times, 3, 2, and no, 2, and 1. And the same you can do on the presentations. Again, you do 5. Ginny, demonstrations where we could also enter in area zones, correct?
Right. The only thing is there is no national for presentations at this moment. And then everyone should keep in mind that not every region has area or zone competitions. If you don't have them, you don't put anything in that blank.
Thank you, Jenny. So once you're through here, you save it, you move on. Again, I'm completely ignoring those blue boxes up here. They're asking you to make sure that you've read all the information, you've completed and edited as necessary. I'm not doing it because I want to show you what happens at the end. Now we're coming to the activity record, and that's one of the longer pages we now have. It's not any different, it's just it looks a little different. So when we go to club, district, regional, all you have to do is you have to enter your information in, and then you can pick and choose. So for example, participant means you've participated in the activity. Above and beyond, you could have been a presenter, you could have been an organizer, you could have gone above and beyond the actual participation part. So keep in mind, please, that you can have 2 of the same, but you cannot have it in the same role. So if you say you participated in the awards banquet for 1 year as a participant, you did it as above and beyond, so maybe you were the organizer at the time, you can enter that in twice, but you cannot enter it in awards and then go back to participant. It just doesn't count. So if you have done 2 of the activities in different capacities, you just make the adjustment. You go all the way through, you can add up to 10, as it says here. And you go through the entire list and make sure you just enter everything that you've had or that you've done. You go on to provincial, national, leadership. So we have here pre-populated the provincial beef heifer show as a participant. In leadership, we had presented a record book workshop. Goes above and beyond because you were the organizer. In CIT, you decided you're going to be a participant. And then on the bottom, you see 4-H volunteer and non-4-H volunteer. So you know your 4-H volunteer activities are anything that you do with your club. Non-4-H volunteer activities, we had this in years past, is anything above and beyond. So that is something that you've done outside of 4-H and you've done in your private time. You've helped out at school, you've helped out, I don't know, with your hockey team, like anything that you've done outside of your 4-H club.
Bianca?
Yes.
It's Jenny. I would also suggest to people that they do not repeat themselves between sections. For example, if you put in presented the record book workshop under leadership, do not write it down again under club activities. If you can try and do different ones, that is much better. And public speaking or communications would not appear on this page because it's already been included on a separate entry page.
That would be speaking demos. So thank you, Jenny, and thank you for people to participate with those questions. So now we go back to saving, we enter on to the next page. Don't get discouraged by the red here, it's just to make sure that everybody reads it and understands the difference. We go on to the next page. And now this is Ginny's world, and I'm happily handing it over to Ginny.
Okay, so basically, the majority of scholarship applicants have completed a 4-H diary. If you have not, then you would not enter anything here at all. But if you have completed diaries, this is where you would have your diaries handy. You would turn to the back page, look at what the completed year was, and put in the number of diary points from that year, and then move on to the next one. So you could have up to, I guess, some members will have up to 9 diaries that they would enter. And it will total all of the points then, so you can just track it. So if this example had another few years, like Bianca, if you wanted to put, say, 2014, and if you had 15 points on that year, that's kind of a fictitious number, but if you notice that that added them up, you could also, if you kind of made a mistake and wanted to see them actually in order yourself, you could remove that top one and then add it in underneath if you wanted to do that as well. Okay, so that's kind of it for that page, Bianca.
Thank you so much, Ginny. So yeah, as Ginny said, they add up here on the bottom. You can add them, you can remove them. Again, the completed club here is like before. It goes from the 1st of October to the 30th of September the following year. And you can add as many as you have, up to 9, as Ginny mentioned. Just make sure if you do have questions, I spoke with Ginny about this earlier, go into your diary points on the back or find those. And I think you can also talk to your club leader. I had a question here saying on the diary part, what if you're involved in more than one club? Why is it up to 9?
Because you're doing 1 diary per year. It doesn't matter how many clubs you're in. There's 1 diary per year, and you are able to record the activities, etc., for 2 clubs within that diary.
Thank
Just
you.
have a look at your diaries.
Okay, we save. I'm not going to enter in more than 2. And we go to the next page. This is when I said at the beginning, you go into additional scholarship, which is up here, and you click your region. It will now enter written requirements. So there are 4 questions that are currently mandatory. I've just entered them Lorem Ipsum because I didn't want to add too much information. The first 4 are always mandatory regardless of the region you are in. So even if you're in the South region and you don't have to complete any other written requirements, those you will still have to complete. So go through the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. My recommendation is put it in a Word document. I mean, you can work on here and you can add it and you can save it. But I think personally, I would be always inclined to just save it in a Word document. So even if for some reason the internet goes out and you have a problem, you can at least go back to your Word document and copy and paste it into those question parts. You're not stranded, you're not losing stuff in between, you're not panicking if something does happen. So after you're through the first 4 questions, which have not changed from years past, you're going on onto the written requirements. Now, keep in mind, those are Northwest region specific. They are not specific for a Calgary region. So if you're in the Calgary region, those do not apply to you. If you are in the South region, those do not apply. They are triggered by the selection you've made. So you now have, for most of the Northwest scholarships, you have written requirements you have to complete. So it's an essay of here, for example, 500 to 750 words. 500 to 750. I know some of them have changed the amount of words that are required, a little bit less now. But in general, just read it in the Word document as well. I mean, you can see it here too. But it does give you a word count. So you know you're not going over and you're not going under. So between 5 and 750 words you will see in your Word document. You will complete all those questions, which there are quite a few on this one. And then you hit save. And in general, if you had everything entered, it should be there. Like I said, use a Word document, just be on the safe side and copy and paste it whenever you're ready. Once you are through those, you move on to the next page. And we're coming really close to the end, because at this point, all you have to do is include your references. And I've had questions of people ask me, what are they looking for? I mean, obviously the reference, they have to know you. It's always a community, a school, and a 4-H reference. And they will ask, or you know, if we may contact them, we'll ask how long have you known the applicant. If it's a written reference, which also happens, and they have to be sealed, that's part of the criteria. For example, the Calgary region is one of those. They require that the references are all in one envelope and sent off, sealed, and shipped over to the Calgary region. You know, what types of behavior, what makes you a leader, community involvement. So those are the kind of things that we want to read when reference letters are sent. And you can give the contact information, and so it's just here, it's Ginny, Joe, Bianca, Doe, John Doe, with our email addresses and the phone numbers. And the one thing, it cannot be a 4-H Alberta staff if you have a great relationship with someone or any of the 4-H Alberta directors. But aside from that, just find someone within your community, the school, or your 4-H to help you out with a reference. It's required by the region and your scholarship. Again, you can refer to the additional scholarships, which the criteria are here. And again, it's outlined here, as well as on the introduction page, if you just want to know, okay, what are they looking for? What kind of references? Where do I send them? It has the address in here. It has how many reference letters. So it's here, but it's also in those criteria documents. So I'm going back to my references. I've completed them all, feel comfortable, save my progress. Go on to the next page. Leaders are not considered staff, just as an FYI. Leader is a leader, it's your 4-H reference. A staff would be someone like myself. Like I'm with 4-H, Ginny is a staff, so she cannot be a reference. It has to be somebody at arm's length of employment, let's put it this way. The photo upload actually has not changed at all. You just take please take a picture of yourself. I've had some pictures and I have to send them over to donors, and they show your livestock and not yourself, or you know, something that is close and dear to your heart, but we want to see a picture of you. So just get us a high-res picture of yourself, upload it. We've always said a grad picture would be nice, or something that you feel really represents yourself. Once you browse it and upload it, you go to the next page. And now you're moving on to the transcripts. Now here there was always a little bit of confusion, and I have to say last year, I think I was even a little bit confused. In terms of transcripts, if you're a high school student, please send your high school transcript over to the 4-H Foundation of Alberta. So just get it in an envelope, get the Alberta Learning Request form, get that sent over. if you're a post-secondary student already, so you're in your second year, you have one completed, don't worry about your high school transcript. Just get your post-secondary, your most recent one, and get it sent over to the 4-H Foundation. Make sure the post stamp indicates no later than May 15, because that's our deadline. So you can't send anything that has a post send of May 31st. Just make sure you have your information sent over to us on or before May 15, 2018. And that's another thing that we have changed. I know in years past, everybody was used to doing May 5th, midnight. We've changed that to May 15 at 3 p.m. We felt it would be easier, especially for the website administrators. For the website administrators, it was a little bit tough and challenging. In terms of homeschoolers, you should be able to retrieve you would get, I would assume, I mean, that's something I can look into. And Jenny, maybe you know, but if you're homeschooled, you would get an evaluation somewhere. I mean, you probably have to do a test. I've never been homeschooled, so I'm not quite sure. But that's something I can definitely look into and get into my FAQ document, because I'm not sure where you would get that from.
Yeah, basically, I think there is something, homeschooled is still through Alberta Education and Learning, or however they are called. There would be something.
Sorry, Ginny, we're kind of losing you. But homeschool, yeah, you still would have to go through Alberta Education or Alberta Learning, and you would still be able, or should still be able, to request a transcript of some sort, because you have to do a test at the end. But it's a good question. I mean, I'm not even sure, so I'm going to look into it. Please make sure that on the bottom, you click, I have submitted my transcript request form by May 15. That's just to make sure that you don't forget it. If you don't do it and you hit the next page, you actually have to agree to send your transcripts. So I click, I have submitted. I go to my next page. And now it's just kind of in a snapshot, all your information that you have previously entered. And so we have all the information we've previously entered. It's just, again, a info thing about your transcripts. And you can actually go and view your online application as we would see it at the end. So you see all your information here. It's just a PDF document that pops up, and it will show you all the details that you've previously entered.
Bianca, can you hear me? It's Jenny.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so one of the questions regarding the high school transcripts, you are actually ordering from Alberta Education your transcript to be sent directly from Alberta Education to the 4-H Foundation following the end of June, basically, because you want them to send that transcript which shows you are completed high school. So it shows that in the instructions as well.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Great, thank you so much. We actually have an applicant ID. And once you have if you want to, you can view your online application. Once you're done, it will also show you on the bottom again all the written requirements you should have completed. So you can go back if you wanted one, just make sure that you've entered information. I didn't, so it would show as blank. But it gives you everything that you had to do and fill out. Then you go to review and submit. And the reason why this pops up, and it's so scary every time I do it, is because I never completed any of the boxes. I just said, okay, I'll ignore it. So the GPA, I know there was a question that came up earlier. When you go to your study info, we actually go by 2.5 or up. So we go by the point system, not by the percentage system. So now you have entered it because we need it. It's some of the scholarships actually, and you'll see it in the scholarship criteria, they do require a certain GPA or higher. So it's just what they so chose, but that's why we ask you, and that's what will prompt information to be completed. So you save it again. Once you save it, you go back to review and submit, and you can work your way through until you're comfortable and nothing happens. So here, for example, I didn't click the box. Now I'm clicking the box. Now I'm saving it. And I'll go back to review and submit. So you can play this game all the way until it's done. I'm not going to. But at the bottom of the page, it's again asking you for your declaration. One thing that has come up a couple of times, and I just want to bring attention to it, nothing, in general bad. It's just I had inquiries about if I don't go to post-secondary immediately in the fall, can I still qualify? Now the thing is with the scholarships, they are supposed to be applied to a post-secondary. So we actually do require you to be enrolled, and that's one of the mandatory requirements is you provide confirmation of enrollment. Now, if you can't, and I've had that happen last year, that somebody said, you know what, I decided I'm actually not going to my post-secondary. Thanks, but no thanks. That's great, because if you let us know, then we can pick a runner-up, because sometimes, it's a close call. I had one person who said, yeah, I'm actually not going to post-secondary. I decided I'm done. Then we could pick the next person. It's really helpful because they are so appreciative. And it's just great to see somebody else being able to use it. So I just lost what you said. I'm not quite sure where you lost me, but I hope it was sometime around the, well, it was sometime probably around the post-secondary, I would think. So if you're done and all the errors are cleared out, go back to the application. Well, once you actually, if you were to go through everything, then you could submit it. Sorry. Oh yeah, okay, so somebody said if you're not going to a post-secondary, if you're not going and not enrolled in a post-secondary, unfortunately, we cannot send you the scholarship funds. We need the proof of enrollment that you are enrolled in the winter semester. And then we can actually, that's part of the requirements when you get your confirmation letter, then you can actually, then we can send you the funds. Without the proof of enrollment, we cannot send it to you. That's unfortunately it. If I was to go through everything here, it would now bring me back and I would actually be able to submit it. For right now, I can't. But that's pretty much the entire application. So we have a lot of time left. And feel free to ask questions. You can either send it in the chat, or you can, well, let's just send it in the chat if you wish. And if you're not comfortable sending it in the chat right now, you can also send me an email. Like I said, I will copy and paste what you had sent, and I will put it in a Word document, and then I will add it into a FAQ, and I'll circulate it to the entire group. How are the successful applicants picked? That's a great question. So based on the information that you complete and all the things that you've entered here, for example, projects and offices held, the website, which I cannot get into right now, the website that I can't get into the backend right now, it will calculate a score based on your overall achievement. So if you were really eager, you've done a lot of community involvement, and you've been great on the 4-H achievement side, that's how it's being calculated, based on everything that you have entered in here. Go to the first page to make sure the names and numbers have been correctly copied down. Correct. So the introduction page, I would assume, or is it the...
I think they're looking for your contact information.
Oh, okay. So my information, it is actually in how to contact us. Oh, how to use the site. this is for us, right? So that's my email, that's my scholarship email, and that's the center here. However, I can also go on, where is it? The contact page. If I go into the contact page here, my information is down here towards the bottom. So that's me. And that's, again, if you want to call us right here. Okay, so going back up. So I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read through here. So if you were to take 4 years post-secondary, can you apply for all 4 years? If you were to take 4 years post-secondary, yeah, of course. As long as you're still enrolled, yeah, you can apply. So if you're in the second year, if you're in the third year, once you're done your 4 years, if after the fourth year you complete it, then you can't. But if you're doing 4 years and you're in the third of your 4 years, yes, please do apply. So the shooting project, Ginny, maybe that's something you can help me with. The shooting project, where would you qualify that?
I would
Oh boy.
on
So I have a hard time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
I've just about got the computer in my mouth now. Basically, I would suggest that anybody that has questions about their projects, go to the 4-H website and look at the project page, because off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly where that one is. And if you have questions, put it into an email to Bianca and we can definitely answer that.
Okay. On the website, maybe you can guide me through here. Ginny,
Okay. Go
where
to
would
the
it-
projects tab
Project, okay.
right there.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough.
And then if you click on any of those, it will list what's in them.
Oh, okay, I see it. So somewhere you should be able to,
So archery and shooting sports would both be under active living.
okay. Thank you. One of the other questions was, what's the range of scholarships? So right now, the highest paying is the Jerry and Margaret Hall. Again, it's in general in this information here. And the Jerry and Margaret Hall, so you see here, individual value of scholarships. So you can actually go and browse through and see if you qualify for those. Jerry and Margaret Hall, they've been very, very generous, great people, met them in person. Their scholarship is $2,500. So theirs is actually one that's going to be picked first, because the way it works is you go from highest to lowest. So you award the highest scholarship first, and then you work your way down. So the most achieving 4-H members actually have the, you know, the best shot at getting one of the higher paid scholarships. At district public speaking, a senior member talked about how we had junior and intermediate scholarships. What are those? A junior and intermediate scholarship. So
I think that would be something they'd have to research through their own community there, because this is specifically for our 4-H scholarship application form is for those that are have completed or are just finishing off grade 12 this year, or are already going into post-secondary. As far as anything for those that are younger, are out there, but they would have to research those through their local area.
yeah, so like Ginny said, and you were kind of getting really quiet there, it's not part of my provincial scholarship, so they are just general scholarships. So you apply once, you are eligible for either one of them. So there is no intermediate and no junior scholarship. So maybe that is, yeah, something like Ginny said, it's something through your own community. So at once it is submitted, is there a confirmation sent to the applicant so that they know it was received? Yes, so you do get confirmation that once you submit it, your application has been sent. Now, please be careful. Once you do submit it, you just cannot go back in. Just, you know, make sure you read everything and you're comfortable, and then you submit it. On the odd chance, if submitted before, I could try to get your access back if it's before the deadline. But once it's done, once the deadline is passed, that's it. There's no, unfortunately, going back, because we only give everybody the same chance. So there is no, you know, this person could go back in on the 16th of May and the other one couldn't. So up until then, if you notice something and you're like, oh my God, this has to go in, or this has to be changed because I just reviewed my application again, which you can still do after the fact, you can contact me and just let me know, and then, you know, we make sure we somehow try to fix it. If you do 2 years and finish a diploma and then take a year off before you start another program, can you still apply as long as you are going to be enrolled? So as we said here on the study info, if you do a 2-year diploma, yes, and you go back in, you can apply. You just need to know that you're enrolled again into a post-secondary. So if you take a year off and then you say, you know what, I'm going to do something more, yeah, most definitely. Entering trades. So here, the thing is, an interesting one is trades, because sometimes they don't do things immediately in the fall like your regular post-secondary. So Ginny and I, we did have a case, and then when we said, okay, if you are enrolled in the spring because you're a trade, that's different than being, and Ginny, feel free to interrupt me and put me in my place. But if you are in a trade and you are going to go to post-secondary, not in the fall, but in January, please send us the confirmation. Just let us know if you're a chosen recipient. Give me the details, and then we can work with you and we can make sure that you do get your scholarship and there's no problem.
And that would refer to any kind of program, because, for example, perhaps you aren't accepted into the and you weren't accepted until January.
Oh, Ginny, you're breaking up. I have a hard time hearing you.
But only 2 people talking. Because I can ask questions, but I have to like send it into the chat. And the
So,
Okay, I think it's because so many people that are not. Can you hear me, Bianca?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, so basically, I think but the answer to that is basically any person may not be accepted into a program in the fall. They may not be accepted until January. They just have to notify the foundation to you, basically, as to when they are.
So sorry, there's some background noise. If you wouldn't mind, unless you're with Ginny, to you know, mute, because I can't really hear
like I just
a
like
few other things.
You fill out a form for each scholarship, and then they just like filter through it, you know. I know.
So I'm going to continue reading.
I can't get on to the form. I know, but I'm just saying. But you can enroll. It lasts for 4 years. Like you can.
Hello, sorry, I lost connection here for a moment.
Oh. They like this is the whole thing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm losing you. Shoot me. Oh, by the way, Mom, Katie was wondering if you could like look into those Bow Valley College scholarships, like what she needs to do for them. And
so excuse me, somebody, I can hear somebody very clearly, but if you wouldn't mind muting yourself, because we're still trying to answer the questions. No, unfortunately, I somehow got disconnected. And I lost some of the questions. So the last one that I saw asked me if you can receive more than one scholarship. Yes, you definitely can. What I would say is you can have one provincial scholarship, and the second one would be a regional scholarship, and then you could have a district scholarship. So you can at times get up to 3, maybe sometimes depending on your region, 4 different scholarships. But only one provincial one. So the way it works, once you are done with once you have received one provincial, we take you out of the race for any other provincial scholarship. However, you're still in for your regional, or what we call the additional scholarship. So there you're still eligible, just not for provincial. So you mentioned needing to enter your most recent GPA. My son's high school has the marks in percentage, so I'm not sure how that would enter. So if you're still in high school and you do not happen to have a point system as it's outlined right here, please give me the percentage. I do have a percentage converter, but we do prefer the point system as it is right here. So if you're in high school, that's what it would be. Would you mind, if I have not entered or answered your question right now, would you mind just resending it? Because like I said, I did get disconnected, unfortunately. With the disconnect, I lost all the questions.
Hi. Real? For real? Trying to do that thing. Go on here.
So,
Perhaps, Bianca, maybe other questions could be emailed to you. You can
Ginny, you may have to send me a message, maybe. Sorry. So take your mark. Okay, so somebody just sent divide by the highest possible, multiply by 4. Wow. That is very detailed. I appreciate that. Sorry, if I have muted you, it's because there would have been a lot of background noise. And it's that's why we kind of, because it was starting to get really noisy. It's not that I'm trying to be rude. It was just because I had a hard time focusing on the actual question. Now, we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but I would say if you do have questions, which oftentimes happens, please send me an email to my scholarship email. More than happy to answer it. Like I said, if you feel like my question wasn't answered, unfortunately I lost half of them by being disconnected. Please send it to me. I will copy and paste it into a Word document, and I will create a FAQ that I can post, and I can also circulate to this group. So if there was anything that was unclear, I'm happy to do that. Hoping to get that to you within a week. And thank you so much for participating. I hope it was worth your time. I hope it did help. Yeah, in the meantime, thank you so much. Send me an email, let us know. Let us also know if there's anything we can do for the next time, whenever that next webinar will be. And yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Good luck to everybody who is going to participate. Bye-bye.